Dominoes have already dropped early this offseason with signs it could get worse from here. Goose speaks out, European Majors gets a new title, and even more this week in disc golf. What's good, guys? It's Swiss, yes, the one with all the holes, and your host of This Week in Disc Golf, where I cover all things disc golf from the past week in just a fraction of the time compared to the other guys. But most importantly, I'm just one half of the disc golf world. The YouTube channel that full-time jobs, the dgbt, and clickbait accusations can't seem to stop from making the best disc golf content that, trust me in saying, all your favorite pros tune in to watch. I mean, just ask Brody. The Tour Championship brought even more Heinhold Hill drama, a Tour Life interview everyone tuned in to watch, and one absolute sick must-watch Berg Nerd video. We'll get to some of that, but it also marked the beginning of the disc golf offseason. Save the comment section from the Match Play Championship because you nor I really paid attention to that. I covered it. Yet the offseason kicked off with two former DGBT winners stepping away from full-time touring, in Ben Calloway and James Proctor. Both of them highlighting the move being best for their family and future. Ben's even coming with a special announcement on top.
I'm not announcing a full retirement, but I will be stepping away from full-time touring probably indefinitely.
Congratulations to Ben and his family, and James for that matter, both with stellar careers that should be celebrated. Yet shouldn't be used to downplay what is expected this offseason and the early signs pointing to another year of even more players stepping away from the sport. And for the ones that intend to stay, anticipated lower contract offers and even more one-year deals. And I'm sorry to destroy your early offseason chatter like the East Wing, because this offseason might be just as jarring. There's already player posts where they feel the need to tell fans they're actually intending to return, unlike years past. A sign that even more departures are yet to come, with another one in the very comment section of said retirement post, where co-owner of Cardinal jerseys and sponsored Gateway player Kevin Foudry went to post, sadly, we'll be seeing a lot of this during the 25 to 26 offseason. And that's not even getting into the rumor mill we all got exposed to over at USDGC, where we were told there will be plenty to cover this offseason. Add most of the pro field on both MPO and FPO side being up for contract as only 26 total pros signed beyond this year. With a free agency list with plenty of big names, tour and major winners, and even a world champion available. Names like Hammes, Radalin, Adderhold, Scoggins, and Solonen, just to name a few. All entering the market with less anticipated sponsorship dollars, rising inflationary tour costs, and even fewer sponsors, the COVID bubble has burst well before this upcoming offseason. Won't stop people from placing the blame on the players, spitting out ROI, their lack of chasing outside sponsorships to help fund the tour, and others even silly enough to go as far as stating they just don't practice enough. Ignoring their agents completely, and the fact that House of Disc market share of the sport and its impact on the free agent market as a whole. And despite the public's downplay or willingness to lose some of the player field to resettle the sport, its impact would only further hinder the game with lower tournament payouts like we just seen at Championship, will even possibly lead to further future departures while also limiting the attractiveness of others to go pro altogether. But yeah, let's just keep talking about the pros you want the brand in your bag to sign with. Now let's get into that interview already. After the meltdown that occurred on the championship, it made the Aaron Gossage's interview over the Tour Life a must-watch. And fans turned out with larger views than the Macbeth interview earlier this year. Gossage came clean about the time violation call, whether he believed his disc hit the rock on 14, which, spoiler alert, he did, and his emotions and reaction in that moment. Despite some looking for an apology for his actions on the course that never truly came, fans' reactions seemed overwhelmingly positive, even despite those eyebrows that has him looking like every Disney villain. Gossage came off informed, well-spoken, and most importantly, honest. While also highlighting the rule changes that involve time that go into effect next year would have helped relieve the situation on 14. But also still goes to show that despite fans wanting even more enforcement of time violations, just won't come from the players, even with the upcoming changes.
If I'm put in the situation of maybe Calvin on this card, to be honest with you, straight up, in Calvin's situation, I'm never calling that. He would never call it. Isaac and Ezra are never calling it. Okay. If I was there and Gannon was taking that time, I'm not calling it in that situation. However, the one thing I will say in response to that is when the official comes and calls it, if I am Calvin, I'd be like, okay, yeah, he probably deserves that. That's what I would say. I'm just saying that as a card mate, I don't
Right,
think
right,
anybody
okay.
is ever making that call.
Unlike Gannon Burr earlier this year, Goose may have actually won some fans over on his side when it comes to the interpretation of the rule, its vague and confusing use from marshals, and the lack of consistency altogether, calling it fairly among the pros. Whose impact, despite many trying to downplay it as simply a warning and its shaping of their remainder of their round. And if you're one of the few who hasn't already checked out the video, go do so, because I didn't even get into the Vinny side of the interview, which was just as good. Also this week, the PDGA has unified the title of their European majors moving forward, as it will no longer be referred to as a festival, or to the disappointment of many out there, not the European Open either. Because if we're being honest, not even a House of Disc filing of bankruptcy or a future sale of one of its brands could change that. Instead, disc golf now moves forward with the newly minted Europa Cup. But what it does accomplish is furthering the establishment and building blocks to what can be viewed as our sport's grand slam, even if the FPO should have 5. All this missing since the European Open's departure just this year from its major status since 2019. But the majors in Europe has actually had 6 different names in its history, as it's traveled across 5 nations in its past. Similar to the US version Champions Cup, even though it wasn't intended that way, the Europa Cup will travel to different locations as they are already taking applications for the 2027 season. And whether you like the name or not, it will stick, and most importantly, slowly become a legacy as long as the PDGA continues to use it. Now, is it major news? Probably not, as most won't realize this until next year. But it's still yet another smart decision by the PDGA leadership, one of a few as of late for this organization, and yet continued progress and a direction to the right path. And while I'm on the PDGA, let's dive into President Nate Heinold's latest criticism that occurred this weekend also. And no, I'm not referencing Heinold Hill being the focus for another year. Instead, this one surrounds Nate Heinold's managing of the AM event that very same weekend. And in no way is this a headline like the NBA's gambling scandal, but the Reddit post did get some traction. And it really shouldn't be a surprise either, as any opportunity to be critical of Nate on Reddit will always get some traction. The poster went on to complain that despite being assured by Heinold and Golf Scene Threads that there will be time to spectate the pros after the AM event, just wasn't possible as the poster lost out on a spectator pass for Saturday. For many listening, this seems laughable and really shouldn't be that shocking, as times are certainly limited when playing an event, completely ignoring the shift of venues to the new London track for an AM event, resulting in even longer rounds that was rumored to take 5+ hours, with extended backups on 18 of over an hour. Not the greatest or smartest of moves, and does deserve some of the poster's criticisms here. The same AM event had to use golf carts over at Ivy Hills. Why you would shift this event to what is being touted as the world's most difficult course doesn't make sense for AMs, only made worse by AMs playing above their division, as that had to be one brutal ass round. Now, let me move on to quick hitters so you can move on to throwing some more plastic. Some disc golf families enjoyed amusement parks and attractions. The Montgomerys and the Panases hit Disney and nearly all the other parks while in Florida, while the Macbeths enjoyed some action themselves, even with some driving lessons of their own. And if you're feeling good about Goose, maybe just stay away from his and Ezra's ranking of tour stops, because your boy was awfully critical of USDGC, going on to say this was an A-tier course with an F-tier tournament. Bold words for what I feel is probably one of the best events every year on tour. Look out now, the Gyropalooza boxes are out on pre-sale as they take over the marketplace yet again. Gyronauts, just please save us all the time and keep the post down to a minimum. Kiefer and Buds got their first round in. Luke Humphreys tries a new apple. Silva gets some rock climbing in while Evelina tackles down some wings. Jerm Page and others caught a Panthers game. Schwebby shows off his thick sauce that takes a day to make. Keck gets down with the worm in Virginia. Some use the offseason for training like the Robinsons, while others use it to get their bow dialed in like Babcock. The PDGA also released its disciplinary list that briefly contained Leah Sinagini, but was as just quickly resolved as her defenders did posting on that Disc Golf Fanatic post. And guys, that just wraps up this week in Disc Golf. Shout out to those over on the Patreon. You guys have made this channel happen. And especially to all of you guys who have stayed this long for me to thank also. Like always, if you've enjoyed and not subscribed, make sure to do so. It helps the channel grow even further. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, comment, and share.